Hi, this is Dr. Ogren, and I'm going to present a short overview of what strategic management is as I see it, and then I will continue with some videos related to the text. So first of all, um, when you're in a strategic management class, you are thinking from a holistic viewpoint about the entire organization. So this is a really good little chart that demonstrates how various functional departments within an organization can be aligned. At the bottom level of this chart, those are the things that interact with all of the organization. Technology and information systems, accounting, we have to create budgets, monitor those budgets, all of those kind of financial reporting, and then labor. All of those resources are present through the whole organization. When you've taken those classes, you've been very specifically focused on implementation and application of that specific functional area within an organization. Marketing and finance is similar, but a little bit broader in that when we're talking about marketing, we're thinking about the customer, the delivery of goods. We're talking about how people will pay us as far as competitive advantage. And then financial management is a broader viewpoint than accounting, as an example. And then operations is really the highest, the most extensive level of bringing everything together, because that's how work gets done. What are our processes, our systems, our levels of acceptance for how we get work done, etc. So what you will start doing in this class is really thinking bigger, broader about the whole organization. 3 questions that will kind of be incorporated through the course, and people at high levels in an organization that are working at a strategic level have to think about. So what determines the corporate performance of the total organization? Not just how are we performing in as far as our labor force, or how is our technology performing and meeting the needs of our customers, but really as a total organization, how is the corporation or the organization performing? And then second is, why do some organizations succeed and some fail? You're going to look at cases every week that demonstrate, or almost every week, that demonstrate different viewpoints. One thing that happens in strategic management is there aren't very many absolute answers. There are options that will really force you to think about things from different frames, different directions, different viewpoints. And then what can you do about it? What are you restricted to from a cultural space, from stakeholders' requirements, from your shareholder requirements, if that's a part of the organization, and what can we do about it? And then what is so then what is strategy? Strategy is taking the idea of what we do well, but also thinking about what we don't do. And I'm going to talk about that in a little more detail here in a minute, as we recognize internally in our organization what are our core competencies, what are we great at doing, and what is happening in the industry externally, what's happening outside of our space, what we don't do. And core competencies are that purple space, what we do better than anyone else, and we need to know it, remember it, create a roadmap that creates boundaries around that, so we stay in a lane that provides us the best opportunity for success. I really like this chart. I developed this chart, so I like it, to demonstrate the progression of what you'll do in this class. And some of you are in the Strategic Management Lab class that aligns to this, and so I moved a few things out of order, just so you make sure you get some key points for those of you that are taking that class at the same time. So first of all, these high-level direction, situational analysis, alignment, execution, evaluation, that's a process we go through, and these are the questions similar to who, what, where, how types of questions that I think are helpful for you to think about. So first, where are we going? Who are we? Where are we headed to? What's our mission? What do we want to accomplish? What's our vision? Who are we? How do we fit in the marketplace? And what are our core values of the organization? That provides our direction as a company, our personality, and where are we going? Think of it that way. And then situational analysis, okay, where are we now? And that is taking a kind of peeling back a layer, if you will, and say, okay, externally, we're going to look at the industry. If we're Mid-American Nazarene, we're in higher education as the industry. Where do we fit in this industry? What else is going on? I was taught as a young manager to scan the environment. That was a new term for me, and it shows up in lots of you'll see reference to that in this class. But it's really about getting out of your bubble, if you will, get outside of your organization or your job, and thinking about what's happening in this industry, what's happening with our competitors, what's going on around us, and we'll work through that. And internally, we also now say, okay, what's happening in our organization? What are we great at? What are we not so great at? In a production operations class, you think about that in the context of outsourcing. What should I outsource and what should I hang on to? Well, we decide that. We can't answer that question until we identify what our core competencies, what are we doing better than anyone else, and what are we not so great at, and that's a good place to outsource. When I had Spicy Guys, I had to make a decision. Am I going to grow this company and grow our internal skills for operating and wholesale food business? That means packaging, making, etc. Or do I want to give that to someone else that has a better skill set there than I do and outsource that, as an example? And then competitively, what's happening to our competitors? And in fact, who are your competitors? I will always talk about competition in the idea of anyone that pays $1 to anyone to meet the need that you are meeting that is a competitor. So I had Spicy Guys. It was a pretzel snack food. My very first partner in that business looked at competition as other pretzels in the grocery store, other flavored pretzels at the gas station. I constantly said, no, our competitor, let's just take the gas station. Anyone that goes in for a snack, we are competing with, because we want them to spend that $1 on Spicy Guys, not on a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup or Dots Pretzels. So it's a competitive analysis is something you'll go through in the kind of learning about how to view competitors differently. And so that's where we are right now. And then alignment is, how do we get there? There are many ways to get to meet our goals. There are different goals that may be appropriate. So it is not simple for you to just say this is our organizational goal and this is how we'll get there. In a lot of ways, there are not very many absolutes in this class. And then execution is, okay, now who's going to do what? Do I structure my organization different? That'll be one of the last chapters we go through, is what are different ways that we structure the company? How do people decide? Are we going to have managers, directors, vice presidents, executive VPs, presidents? Or are we going to stay really flat? How do we organize the work to get done? And then controls relate to, how do we measure that we got it done? How do we do a check-in? What's that control in place? And then strategic leadership is, I will touch on in the context that the higher you move in an organization, the more you have to think more broadly. You do less actual tactical work and you do much more thinking, planning, motivating. And then lastly is evaluation and saying, how are we really doing? Are we a learning organization? Are we growing as we build the organization? Are we recognizing what we're good at and not? Or do we or are we just kind of still, and we are still the same as we were before we make the same mistakes over and over. So that's a really high level view of strategic management. It's the way I think of it, and hopefully that's helpful to you. So we'll move on to the next overview of the chapter here in a minute.